So I've seen a lot of videos about people who who talk about why they left academia and why academia is terrible. And I definitely understand where they're coming from, and I agree with a lot of the things they're saying. But I thought I'd give a more positive take before I I talk about some of the more negative aspects of academia. So in this video, I thought I'd talk about why I've decided to try to stay in academia. So I don't really have an academic career yet. I'm only a postdoc, and I wouldn't say you have an academic career until at least you're a tenure track assistant professor. But at this point, I've decided to try to get there at least. And so I've decided to try to stay in academia. I'm not 100% sold. There's definitely a real possibility that I'll change my mind. And also there's a real possibility that I won't make it. But I thought I'd try to explain why I've decided to try to stay in academia in this video. So I think I'm a somewhat unusual academic in the sense that I never really had a dream or plan about becoming an academic, becoming a professor or whatever. And I never really planned on doing a PhD until quite late in my master's. I even wasn't really planning on doing a master's degree until the final year of my bachelor's. It wasn't really until I got some actual experience doing research that I really decided, okay, I quite enjoy this and I want to do more of it. And that's when I decided to do my master's, and then that was even better than I had expected, where my expectations were quite high to begin with, and so I thought that was it was very good. And then I decided, I want to do a PhD, and that's pretty much how I got into the PhD. And even during my PhD, I never had any plans of becoming an academic. It was there, it was in the back of my mind, but in reality, my plan was to go to industry, pretty much. And when I applied for my current position, a postdoc position here in Denmark, it was mostly just to get a foothold, gain some credibility in the Danish work market. And so that was my plan. And then move to industry. That was my plan. And I feel like most academics are actually people who really enjoy going to school, who really always was good at going to school and enjoy going to school. And they really buy into the whole and some of these people, at least, really buy into this whole, academia is great, academia is perfect. And I feel like I have a somewhat different perspective because I didn't really enjoy going to school that much. Even as a child, I really enjoyed being outside. Gym class was my favorite subject, pretty much. I was pretty decent at math and natural science, but it wasn't something I enjoyed doing. I didn't enjoy sitting down and doing work because someone else told me I had to do it, which is basically what school is. You're being told you have to do this, and then you have to regurgitate it to demonstrate that you know what it is. And even throughout my career, my schooling career, I never really enjoyed it. And it's I've certainly made a strange career choice. But it wasn't really until pretty deep into my PhD I realized, I was even able to admit to myself that I don't really enjoy going to school. However, what I do enjoy is being more independent. What I enjoyed about research was that I get to decide what I read. I get to decide what I do to a much greater degree. And then it becomes much more enjoyable for me. I want to do the things that I want to do. And that's what I want, the autonomy. The moments I have to do something that other people tell me I have to do, that's when I don't want to do it. And it's a lot easier for me to read research articles where I actually need or am interested in the content. And it's a lot easier for me to retain the information in the articles as well. And overall, it's just a much more enjoyable experience for me to do things that I actually want to do, where I have decided this is something I want to do. And I feel like this is why maybe I found it's kind of the opposite. I'm kind of the opposite of people who get into a PhD program, because they've often been very good at regurgitating information, but it's never been a selection process based on being able to think for yourself or being able to be creative and solve real life problems in that occurs, real life practical problems. And it was really once we got to the stage where it's more the research part where I felt like I started to shine and didn't have to struggle as hard. But yeah, going back to my postdoc, where my current position. So, like I said, originally I wanted to gain some credibility in the Danish work market and then transition to industry in Denmark. But then my current advisor, my postdoc advisor, asked me if I wanted to apply to the Marie Curie postdoctoral fellowship. And so I came up with an idea, I wrote the proposal, and then I just really want to put this into life, you know? It was probably the most enjoyable thing of my entire academic career so far, to actually write a research proposal where I feel like this is actually good and can actually be useful. And now I just really want to put it into life. Now, unfortunately, I didn't get the fellowship, but I scored quite well. I was just below the cutoff. And so that's been resubmitted currently. And I'm awaiting the verdict on that, so to speak. And, you know, this whole trying to become an academic is very much dependent on me being able to secure my own funding. And that's, I feel like maybe that's the most important part of becoming an academic, actually getting funding, because if you have money, if you have grant funding, then the university basically doesn't have to pay for you. In fact, it gets money for you. So if you can convince a university that you're going to bring in more money than anyone else, that's the person they want to hire. So obviously that's the winning strategy in the game of academia, to get as much grant money as you possibly can get. I also quite enjoy teaching and getting to know students and see them develop. I find it very rewarding. So that's another positive aspect of being an academic. Of course, there are plenty of negative aspects. Like you constantly have to fight for your job by obtaining more grant funding, obviously. And then, you know, you have to deal with difficult individuals, and that's probably my biggest concern, because I do feel like there are quite a few difficult individuals in academia. Of course, that may be the case in industry as well. I don't really know. Of course, you have a bunch of admin, and you have to be part of committees and meetings and stuff like that. Part of that would also be in industry, but the admin part, where you actually have to deal with budgeting and things like that, I think that's something that should definitely not be underestimated, and that can be a real chore, I think, as a professor. But overall, it's the freedom, it's the ability to create your own ideas and put them into life that really attracts me, that really makes academia attractive to me. But it's certainly not a given that I will make it, and it's certainly not a given that I won't change my mind. There is a real possibility I'll just decide, no, I don't really want to do academia anymore, and I just go to industry. Because I'm really, it was never my dream. It was never my dream to be an academic. It was never my passion or whatever. And to be honest, I find it a bit strange with people who have this dream and have it as their passion, because you don't really know what it is until you actually do it. And even now, as a postdoc, I'm not completely sure I know exactly what it entails to be a professor. I have a pretty good idea, I think, but there are definitely certain aspects that I haven't experienced yet. And there's definitely a lot of issues with negotiating the what can I say, the academic game and the bureaucracy of academia and all those things. But yeah, I think I'm gonna leave it at that. I'm probably gonna do some videos on what I like less about academia in the future, and but that's all for now, and I'll see you in the next one.